Honestly, I'm very disappointed, right? We need to talk about this. Guys, I know, trust me, right? I know I have a bunch of good friends who are into movies, into reading, who would probably be very interested if I tell them what I think about this book, like face to face, even though none of them has ever read it. I know I have a like book, movie, TV series reviewing Instagram, and I know that I could just like whip up, like type up like a review and upload that. I know, but I need, like, this is not a want, this is a need. I feel so frustrated and I'm so sick and tired of this type of shit happening. So I'll just let it go. I'm not gonna edit myself. I'm not gonna like try to constrain myself. I guess it'll be a bit harder for me because I just flipped from Turkish. But the book's in English, and even though I don't necessarily plan on sharing this video with like literally anyone else, I feel like it makes the most sense to keep it in English anyway in case I change my mind. People need to hear this. See, I don't want to have to explain this to people. If someone for whatever reason comes up to me and asks me, oh my god, I saw you were reading like Bret Easton Ellis's first book called like License Zero, what do you think about? I genuinely don't want to put myself through this restraint like a second time after making this video. I will literally just send them this video. I don't even care. So this is in English, a language which anyone who might ask me about this could understand. Okay? Okay. I don't even know how to start. I read this book this week. I started literally on Thursday, and today is Monday, and I just finished this book. This is a book called Less Than Zero by Bret Easton Ellis. He is the guy who wrote American Psycho. That's how I know him. That's where I know him from. That's how I found him out. This is apparently his first book. Although, granted, I did read American Psycho, thoroughly enjoyed my time other than the torture porn parts, which we will get to. We will get to that part. To be fair, I liked the way he wrote. I liked it. It was dry, like mini review. It was very dry, but granted, with the situation at hand, the way he wrote, the dryness, the like utilitarian nature of the way he wrote his book made so much sense for that character, made so much sense for that story. And so I was left only disturbed by his certain artistic choices, considering the torture porn he chose to describe very, very detailedly, especially towards the end of the book. And so I thought to myself, I was like, I actually like this guy's approach to things. I want to read more of him. And I logged into the library, and I found that they have also his first book. And I was like, cool, nice. I'm gonna have to work a conference anyway. I have a lot of time to kill. I'll just take this with me. It's 200 pages. I'll just like read it through the conference. I'll be done with it. Tell me why this book has no substance, like no substance whatsoever. I consider myself to be a good person to load meanings into things. Meaning that even though some pieces of art or media have been done hastily, I am good at projecting meaning into them. Okay? This one? No. And I was very surprised because I'm trying to get into Goodreads again, and I tried to log this in the moment I started reading this, and I was curious, and I looked through some of the reviews. Some of them were like 5 stars, 4.5 stars, but some of them also like, a lot of them also like 1 star. And I was very curious about this. This doesn't really happen that often, right? Unless it's a trash book, like unless it's like trash basically. So this book basically is about Clay. He is a rich, spoiled boy who's 18 years old, who's coming home from college, for a vacation for a month, right? He lives in LA, and all of his friend group are like these rich, spoiled LA brats. They look alike, and that's when I noticed that like this guy, this author, Ellis, likes to write the same type of thing over and over and over again. I feel like this was basically like a prototype for American Psycho, where he probably wanted to attack the yuppie culture, the Wall Street culture, more than the LA culture. But at the time he was writing this book, he maybe thought he was not well equipped enough to attack that at first. I will agree with him. I'm very glad he didn't straight out the gate write American Psycho, although now that I think about it, I did not do research. Maybe he did write American Psycho before this and went back and redacted it, but that doesn't really change my point. So Clay comes home, and there is his girlfriend called Blair, where they sleep together, they're on again, off again, no one knows if they're together or not. There is, again, parallel to American Psycho, a drug usage frenzy where everyone's on drugs, everyone's on drugs, and no one seems to be not on drugs at any point in this book. And if they are not on drugs, that's all they can think about, that's all they can talk about. This book is so dryly written, but it doesn't supply anything. When I first read the jacket of this book, right, the backside of this book, I thought this was going to be either two of the things. One, I thought this was going to be like Secret History by Donna Tartt, where the main protagonist goes into this crazy world of like secretive academia, and he witnesses all of these like insane things, but only because he's been accepted to this group and he's a part of this group, he just conveys everything to us. And he finds it weird sometimes, sure, but he just goes along with it, and in the end there's a big blow up, and then he realizes actually how fucking disturbed everything was. I thought it was going to be that for LA clubbing scene for like 18-year-olds. Or I thought it was going to be like Gossip Girl, but way less commercialized and way more nihilistic. I thought sort of like, imagine season 1 Nate Archibald, right? The way he hates everything that's going on around him, and every choice has been made for him, and he just doesn't like it, but cannot seem to like distance himself from his friends or his circle because that's all he knew. I thought that was going to be something like that. Either one of those I would have taken gladly. This is why I started reading this book. Imagine my surprise when little nothing happens in the first half of this book. The first 105 pages, basically nothing happens. Clay goes and then interacts with a bunch of people. For whatever goddamn reason, there is an emphasis on him looking for people, not finding them, and then immediately running into them. He's like, oh my god, I want to see Blair. Where's Blair? Where's Blair? Where's Blair? And then for like 20, 50 pages, which are like, oh my god, have you seen Blair? Kim, have you seen Blair? No. Oh, she was there. Have you checked there? No, she's not there. Then randomly, he runs into her. And then they don't even do anything. They don't even speak. It's like so meaningless. I would actually divide this book into 3 sections. 1, the section about Trent. 2, section about Blair. 3, section about Julian. Where this like searching for them, finding them, and not doing anything frenzy goes on for 3 of these characters. Clay has no one single original thought or feeling in his mind, okay? At least when I was reading American Psycho, I could feel that the main character had some ideas, had some thoughts, had some feelings about how he should be, how people around him should be, how the world should be working, what he liked, what he did not like. And when he described everyone wearing what they're eating in great detail, he did that because he was obsessed with status. And it made sense because that would be what a person who's obsessed with status thinks. They would look at another person, they would go like, oh my god, he's wearing like Armani suit, it's couture, it's this, it's that, and would be obsessed with the business cards. This person has no idea about anything. He doesn't want anything. And you might be like, yeah, AJ, isn't that the point? No, it is not the point. Because I can sit here and try to gaslight myself into thinking that the author did this on purpose. He wrote this dryly on purpose, when in reality, even if that's what he tried, it does not translate. It does not translate. It just simply does not. And I think, so let me backtrack for a second. The whole idea of this book is that he's supposed to be, the main character is supposed to be numb to everything that's going on around him. Tell me why, until like basically the last 50 pages of this book, literally nothing happens. When you're numb to something, things keep happening around you and you just simply don't feel anything. That is the definition of feeling numb. That is dissociating. That is what he tried to convey here. But there is nothing going on. Right? There is nothing going on. They just keep stringing from party to party, from sexual relation to sexual relation. And there are these like flashbacks that absolutely mean nothing. Nothing. And imagine my surprise reading this directly on top of American Psycho. He just straight up, like Ellis straight up copied himself. Like there are two different anecdotes where he copied everything from himself, word for word. Even like in such a manner, I thought to myself, if this was like a press issue, if one of the books was like not supposed to take that from the other book. But here's the fact. This could not have happened twice in like sections that take pages. And for anyone who's interested, I don't remember what the second one was, but like the first one was, oh no, I do remember actually. Take that back. It's about when the mom asks the main character what they want for Christmas. That section fully lifted from this book into American Psycho. And the second one is when the main character and his love affair have had sex and they're talking, she's asking about if he'll call her. Okay, and you might say, well, it's his word, it's his own word. Could he not lift it? No. Did I say no? Because I actually really meant to say no. My biggest problem, I was reading this book and I was bored out of my mind, and I was like, oh my god, I don't want to read this anymore, I don't want to read this anymore, I don't want to read this anymore. I started reading so fast, yet time went by so slowly, I literally wanted to gouge my eyes out. But at that point I was more than halfway done with this book, and I told myself, I have to read this through. Let me just like do my thing, finish this book really fast. The last 50 pages, here I need both my hands to articulate. The last 50 pages, I think around last 50 pages, our main character Clay lends out quite a bit of money to Julian, whom he used to source drugs from, whom some of his friends still source drugs from, and he's a bit sketchy. But sketchy in an LA sense, right? It's not like he's like a bad, like he would like get you fucked up type of person. No, he's just like, he's on drugs, he disappears a lot, he sees a bunch of bullshit, basically. And then, when Clay goes back to Julian to reclaim the money, he says, oh wait, I don't have it on me right now, but I'm going someplace and he'll give you the money, because this guy we're going to owes me. They go to a guy named Finn. Apparently, Finn is pimping Julian out because Julian has such a debt because of the drugs he's taking. And he is full on a prostitute, a gay prostitute, who's been like being pimped out to older men. Literally, why? My dude, why? Why do we need this? Like, we don't. Actually, you know what? We do not need this book. And even if we need this book, why did you wait until the last 50 pages to throw this at our faces? Like, we've known Julian since the beginning of this book. And other than him, like, disappearing all the time, which could also be because of the main character's, like, drug usage. Because, like, it's a first-person storytelling, and the main character takes a shit ton of drugs all the time. He's out of his mind all the time. So basically, tell me why we needed to wait like 150 pages for us to learn this crucial bit of information. This book screams like it was about to be a short story, but then I wanted it to be a book, and then I tried to pump as much word or as much content into this book as possible. Why do you do this? Like, it brings us nowhere. And it is so stupid, because we lived through the first like 2.5 weeks of his vacation throughout the first 150 pages. And the last week and a half or 2 weeks is just like, boom, in 50 pages, boom, I did this. And the last 50 pages is where he chooses to pile up all this nonsensical, violent, like disturbing elements. We go and Julian basically begs his pimp Finn to not be pimped out anymore. I don't want to read this. I do not care. So tell me what I'm supposed to feel, okay? Tell me how I'm supposed to feel. Because when you begin this book, it's like, oh, these like kids in LA, they have no idea what they're doing. They're just throwing their lives away, drinking, doing coke, having sex in weird places with everyone, and it's like very interlocked. And yeah, so basically you're telling me that they don't have basically a life. They feel numb all the time. They don't do anything. And you basically force me to hate them, including the main character. You just want me to hate them. Fine, I did hate them. I hated them even before I read about it. Why should I feel any sympathy towards these people who have everything, and yet choose to live their life fully numb? I hated them even before I started reading this book. That's fine, but tell me why in the last 50 pages you suddenly want me to not hate them, and you try to like use their so-called trauma that you forcefully injected into this book for me to feel the tiniest bit of sympathy for them. Tell me why I had to read about Julian's pimp forcefully giving him heroin, and the main character just watching over them. Tell me why I had to see that. I didn't have to see that. I didn't have to read about that. That was a bad choice. This is a bad book, and I rarely say this. I want to be nuanced as possible when I critique anything, when I express my opinions on anything and everything. I want to be as nuanced, I want to be as open as possible, but there is no way of convincing me this is anything other than bad. This is what bad writing is. This is what bad character, bad storytelling, bad world building, this is everything, okay? No imagery that is supposed to be revolutionary or sticking in my mind. This is just shocking your audience just for the sake of it, because you knew, didn't you, Ellis? You knew, Ellis, that when you wrote the first half of this book, it was basically zero. Like, all of the contents were nullified pieces of junk shit where a 12-year-old could think about. Like, oh my god, I wonder what life's about. I wonder, in all this privilege, do I even deserve to live? I wonder if my friends are good people. This is what I went through when I was 12. 12. Okay. But on top of everything else, I think I will conclude with this, because I think if I keep going, I will just repeat myself over and over again, which I actually like doing when I talk about something that I enjoy. But in this case, no. Tell me why, in the end, you felt the need to throw in very descriptive dead body descriptions, okay, of women who had been raped multiple times and tortured. They're just one-off instances. You just mention them and you dip. You just mention them, and you like doing this, huh, Ellis? Like, you really like descriptively showing the audience, pushing this image of disturbed, beaten up, raped out of their minds, like Ted Bundy style raped women into your audience's brain. Why do you do that, huh? I told myself when I read the rat scene, and if you've read American Psycho, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And if you have not, I urge you, do not try to find out what that is, especially if you're a woman. It will leave you traumatized. Do not try to find out what the rat scene is in American Psycho. Do not do that. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. And I told myself, I sort of lied, I manipulated myself then to think he was only writing these things because it fits so well to his narrative. And to this day, I do think it fits well for the narrative. That was a choice. You just showed the entire world how disturbed you are, you fucking psycho. Yet when you have it in this book, you have absolutely no excuse for that. When you have a 12-year-old girl chained to a bed, when you have a 12-year-old girl chained to a bed, raped repeatedly by an 18-year-old, when you describe the noises the main character hears from the outside of that room in great detail, you have absolutely no fucking right to do that. You fucking psycho oh my God. I can't even, I don't even have the words. You fucking bastard. Why would you do this? It adds nothing to the story. Nothing. Nothing. Okay? It does not. It does not add anything. If you add shock factor like this to a nonsensical, unoriginal, unmeaningful book like this, you don't get anything. And I do not understand how this guy must know some people in publishing, huh? This guy must know some people in publishing, because otherwise, what in the actual fuck? What in the actual, excuse my language, pardon my language, what in the actual fuck, Ellis? USA Today said, Catcher in the Rye for the MTV generation. Bullshit. 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 Because one thing good art does, it is inherently meaningful. It doesn't need to rely on anything. It doesn't need to rely on glitz, glamour, shock, anything like that. It doesn't need to rely on plot twists. It doesn't need to rely on anything else but itself and the story it has to tell. You telling me I read this book, I disturbed myself for nothing. For nothing. For what? For what? Why did I read this fucking book, Ellis? Why did you put me through this? I hate you. I hate you. You wrote one of my favorite stories, and now I have to hate you. This is what happens. This is what happens. I cannot believe this man had a career after writing this book. So, I guess what I'm trying to say, do not read this fucking book. It's one of the most horrendous stuff I've ever read. I'm horrified by the fact that this guy was allowed to make money. Okay? Okay? After reading Gone Girl, I thought to myself, like, oh my God, imagine you're with someone and she writes Gone Girl and you read it. Oh my God, what a shock. Like, she must be some sort of a psycho in deep down. So you would feel like very disturbed if you were like actually with her. You would be thinking like all the time, imagine being anything to this fucking guy. Imagine birthing this guy. Imagine being related to this guy. Imagine being like his girlfriend. Imagine being his wife. This guy has no respect for women, for autonomy, for women's bodies. I'm genuinely scared how easy it is for him to construct these fucking disturbed Ted Bundy-esque raped dead corpse images. My day has been ruined. My day has been ruined. And I will scrape every last one of these like fucking disturbing scenes from my brain. And I will do that gladly, because I also know that they didn't mean anything. They serve no purpose in the story. They serve no No purpose for character development, no purpose for world building, no purpose for anything, basically. And after this, I definitely need some sort of like Margaret Atwood-esque, like Virginia Woolf-esque, like compassionate to women type of writer, because what in the actual fuck did I read? I need to believe that I need to reprogram my brain, essentially. So long story short, do not fucking read this book. Do not interact with anything when you see this name. Don't, okay? Don't do it. He's ill. He's mentally ill. Something is wrong with him. He is fucking insane, okay? I will definitely not be surprised if one of these days a story comes out where he's actually a cannibal like Armie Hammer, or he's like been beating his like wife on the down low. I will not be surprised. I will certainly not be surprised if rape allegations against him come out. With that being said, this is a very raw my thoughts, but I should have like maybe sat down and researched his life. I should have maybe like read some of his interviews. Truth be told, I don't think that's necessary. I don't. There is no redeeming quality to writing some horrible shit like this. Oh my god, I can't believe this. Like, the praises, a praise from New York Times. Yeah, well, even this praise says, like, one of the most disturbing novels I've read in a long time. It's disturbing for being disturbant. It's just like disturbing people for disturbing people's sakes. This is meaningless. Anything this book tries to achieve, it nullifies itself. It does not work. Long story short, do not read this fucking book. Less than 0, less than my ass. I hated it. I hated every second of it. For the first half because it was so boring. For the second half because it was outrageously disturbing for absolutely no reason. And it tied into nothing. And I would really like to go home and hug my mom. This is what I think about this book. This book made me hate men again. And this book made me want to hug my mom and cry about it. So I guess, good day if you can still have one. I certainly cannot have one, but that's fine because this day is almost over.